Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the first episode of Spilling the IT, a live Q&A with Adam Burke about cybersecurity. Every week, we'll talk about a different topic in IT. So, hey, Adam, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for putting this together. Excited to go through this, talk about some things. And, I know we're talking about cybersecurity this week, so very topical and looking forward to it.
Yeah. So we have some questions. We just kind of want to launch right in, get your thoughts on all of it. And yeah, I know personally for me, this will be really helpful. So while I handle a lot of the digital media, I don't know as much about cybersecurity as might be helpful. So this will be great.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, let's get into it.
So first question, super important. How do you spell cybersecurity? One word or two? The search engines suggest two, but Grammarly keeps telling me it's one. What do I believe?
I always go with one. I always go with one word. I'm in the way I've spun this before, because I've gotten in this debate before, is I think the British separate it, proper English, if you will. They separate it into two, but Americans and we're Americans and lucky to be, one word, cybersecurity, final answer.
So it's across the pond specific.
Across the pond specific, the Brits, two words, proper English, Americans, one word.
Thank you so much.
Answer. Yep.
Very helpful.
Mark that down. Ladies and gentlemen, we are cracking the code on cybersecurity today. Welcome to the session.
Showed on the big board. It's correct. You're right. You did it. Okay. So, but more seriously, these are more serious questions. So are certain industries more likely to be targeted with a cybersecurity attack?
It's a great question. And right now what we're seeing, there are specific attacks going on. Everyone knows about Twitter going through what they went through with some of their blue check marks and Elon Musk's and of the world and everybody getting hacked. That was a very targeted attack. So there are actors out there who are going after very specific people, specific resources, doing spear phishing attacks and all sorts of synthetic stuff. Our friends over at Hook Security, their CEO Zach and Adam Anderson actually broke down the Twitter hack pretty well in layman's terms. That I really appreciate the way they did that. But organizations are going after specific threats, but there's also just bots out there just crawling and looking for vulnerabilities. So everyone who knows Quest knows hopefully that we provide instant response services. And oftentimes what we're seeing is people getting breached with just simple day-to-day activity of username and password not being strong, not having multi-factor authentication, not having two ways to validate who you are as a person. People are looking for any weakness out there. And
do you and I should say do we? I don't know what to say to you. Do we find at Quest that a lot of the businesses we talk to are shocked when they find it's such a simple way of being attacked?
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of cool capabilities out there on the market, and one of the things that we strongly stress when we're talking to people, partners, clients is there's some very simple standard things you can do to protect your enterprise that a lot of people maybe don't think about. There's really basic things you can do. Basically keeping your patches and keeping your operating systems up to date, keeping your endpoints, putting just some basic endpoint protection on your laptops and your end user environments. Really, really basic stuff. I mean, you can secure your enterprise pretty cheap, $20 a user kind of thing per month. You can drop in all sorts of tools that make it very, very difficult for the bad actors to hack into your environment. It's just
I think when people hear secure your enterprise, immediately people think that's got to be really, really expensive. But you're saying it's not.
Well, there's
different levels.
There's levels to it, right? I mean, the majority of the hacks, the majority of people who get hit are from the end user clicking on something or basically getting their digital identity compromised, right? Those are a lot of where these hacks come in. And the easiest thing you can do, the first line of defense is your people. You got to train your people, and you got to have them at least situationally aware. Like, sometimes people conflate technology like it's not part of the real world. It's the same part of the rest of the world. So if you go out into the city and you don't want to get mugged, be situationally aware. Have your head on a swivel. Be looking around. Look like someone who can have avenues of escape. And most times you won't get targeted, right? That's a great way to prevent. Anyone who teaches self-defense teaches you first to be aware. So in IT, in security, you want that self-defense starts with your people. Just starts with training them about being aware. We have partners who help us do that. It's something we bundle into our services, but just situational awareness really helps. And then, unfortunately, when you're talking to business leaders out there, 70% of the people who go through that are still going to sometimes fall for it. And it only takes one time. It only takes one time, one person to click on something stupid, or open up an attachment, or you can get baited, right? We work in sales, and one of the best ones I ever saw was in the channel we work with of hey, it said it was your monthly commission. It was your monthly commission statement. It came out from someone who sends commissions.
That's
clever. Every sales rep's, oh, click on that.
Yeah.
Boom. They were snagged. So they're smart about it. So people are going to make mistakes, and the way you can prevent against that is you prevent that malware, that bad actor, from getting access to your machine by protecting the endpoint. Just protect the endpoint. Make sure your people have their endpoints, laptops, desktops, and their mobile devices secured, because you're going to make a mistake. And when you do, you got to have visibility of that hitting you and making sure it doesn't cross and get further into the enterprise.
And the bad actors you guys come across, are they targeting certain industries, or just pretty much across the board? Like you said, they have bots crawling, just looking for any vulnerability in all the industries.
They're going after anyone with money. It's organized crime now. It's serious business. I mean, these guys they're not playing around anymore. It's not kids in a basement. It's not people, trying to mess with the FBI. It's organized crime going after money. And they found out that there's a great article in Forbes, 2012, 2011. It's like, data is the new oil, right? And you go after people's data. You go after their files. You go after their crown jewels, the enterprise, and you encrypt them, and then you hold them ransom. And what's getting nastier and nastier is we're seeing it continue to move. They you restore from backups, or you replicate to a different environment, you restore from that. Bad actors are figuring that out. They're going after those levels of backups. They're going after that stuff every single time. The threat's evolving with it. And sometimes in IT, you kind of want to say, well, no, hang on. I bought the latest and greatest stuff. We're now safe. No, you're not safe. You have to move with the environment. You got to stay alert at all times.
So buying one thing will not keep you safe forever.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
what you're saying.
Yeah, buying one thing will not keep you safe forever. It's a constant kind of state of awareness. You gotta stay in the game. Okay. Stay on the path, as someone would say.
Probably somebody wants to walk on the path.
Yeah, I'm a big Jocko Willink fan. So yeah.
Oh, it's Jocko Willink say stay on the path?
Yeah, stay on the path. Yeah.
That seems like a smart thing to say.
Yeah. Hashtag smart thing. Hashtag.
Yeah. Let me pull up another question. Got a lot of great questions. Also, real quick, if you have a question, if you're watching this and you have a question, please leave it in the comments, and we would love to tackle that in a future call. So if you have questions, leave them, and we would love to address each one of those as well. So what are key questions that CEOs should ask about cybersecurity readiness?
Well, they should first evaluate, are my people trained? Do my people know, what the risks are out there? And just have a common non-technical conversation about what you're dealing with and what's important in your organization. So Sean Davidson, who's our VP of Risk Management and does a lot of our workshops, he breaks it down in a great way. He basically talks about, hey, what is important to you as an enterprise? What does cybersecurity mean to you? Do you need to protect your data? Do you need to protect your manufacturing? Do you need to protect your patient records? What do you need to protect? And if you're a CEO and you're evaluating this from a business standpoint, what do you want to ensure? What do you want to make sure is secured? And then it's not complicated. Then you got to basically go through the process of understanding, okay, how could I lose that? Or how could that be taken from me? Right. And so then you start looking at, okay, I have my people, I have my process, I have my environment. How is security hardened? It's not, cybersecurity often goes down the super technical road. It's really not that technical. There are very, very basic, simple things leadership can do within an organization to, one, raise awareness, and two, just basically fix the systems you have as you've already invested in. Everybody's got antivirus. Everybody's got some version of an operating system that's behind on patching. Everyone has the ability to see their endpoints and know where they are. There's really not that much you need to layer on. IBM put out a great note earlier this week about the complexity of the cybersecurity environment now. So many tools are being layered on top of the enterprise. They sometimes can not necessarily help. I mean, there's things like hosted SIM and things like DNS and those types of things. They're great, but you got to get those systems working together, and you got to understand, okay, what layers is protecting me? It's great to have visibility, but what am I protecting, and how do I build that protection around my assets?
I love what you mentioned, that like what are you trying to protect? Like, what is important to you? Because I think sometimes that people think like, oh, there's nobody after the information that I have. But
you hear that all the time in small business, medium business. It's like, yeah, they're not going to go after me. They're going to go after Visa or MasterCard or Deloitte or someone huge, right?
Yeah, which I'm sure they're trying to go after them as well.
Yeah, absolutely they are, but they're going after everybody. Anybody with we've seen mom and pop shop organizations, 12 to 20 employees, small regional players to get locked up, and we've seen international organizations get hit as well. It happens to everybody.
And I think so often it's, if I'm hearing you correctly, so much of it is automated. It's not like these organizations are going down a phone book and being like, nope, that company's too small, let's skip them. Like, it's all automated. All these bots are crawling. Everything is, they're just trying to find weaknesses anywhere. Yeah.
So it's all automated. So we're going to put this up on LinkedIn, and everyone's been through the LinkedIn experience of you get a connection request, and the second you hit that connection request accept, you get an automated email from them that's generated basically saying, blah, 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 here's my pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those. I think they're crap. But that's the same thing that people are doing, automating these threats, right? Once they drop the payload, once they drop it, once it finds a vulnerability and it can basically message back, it's basically letting people know, hey, I got a fish on, right? Mm-hmm. It's not some dude sitting there in his basement trying to, crack the code, or what was that John Travolta movie that back in the day was horrible? No, not that one. The Swordfish, was it Swordfish?
Oh yeah, Swordfish.
Remember that?
The 360 slow motion explosion? Is that what you're talking about? How does that fit into cybersecurity?
Well, wasn't that guy a hacker? That dude, remember he had the worm or whatever? He had the worm thing.
It wasn't. Well, Tom Travolta. Travolta was not the hacker. Guy who plays Wolverine. Why can't I remember his name?
Guy who plays Wolverine. My wife just walked in.
Hugh Jackman.
Who plays Wolverine? Okay, yeah. Hugh Jackman
plays the hacker.
Yeah, he plays the hacker, and basically, it's this complex thing, and they're dropping the payload, and he's got the worm, he's got the digital stuff. It's probably drives real engineers crazy watching that movie. But
and all hackers, when they do finally succeed, they say, "I'm in." Correct?
Yeah, it's standard. Yeah, they say, "I'm in." Yeah, and they always eat a lot of pizza and Mountain Dew, and all standard. But no, so that's not what it is. It basically, they drop the payload, it communicates back, they got one, and now they roll from there. So it's an automated process. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So from a CEO, if you're evaluating your business, ask your people if they're aware of it. ask what they do if XYZ happens. And then it's always good to get a third party to come in and take a look. We recommend to all of our partners, hey, do a tabletop workshop, do some type of an analysis, just understand what you have in place and identify where some gaps could be and how potentially those gaps could impact your company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think this question segues perfectly into our next question, which is cybersecurity questions you should ask your IT team.
Very, very similar to the CEO questions,
Yeah.
So what are our policies? What are we trying to protect? How are we, the really, really basic stuff is it's not sexy, but it's, hey, how are people gaining access to our environment? When they log in, are they going through multi-factor authentication? We all do it when we log into our Wells Fargo bank account or our Chase account or whatever. You get that ping, you get that check, but that's not foolproof either. The Twitter hack, that process got stepped in between, right? So someone who had the right to basically step in between that took that secondary authentication and basically authenticated as a fake person. So that's vulnerable too, but you need to at least at a minimum have multi-factor authentication in place. That's kind of a very, hey, do we have multi-factor authentication in place? If you got Office 365 or G Suite or any of these systems that are out in the cloud, do we have multi-factor authentication in place? If we do, great. If we get hit, how far can they get in? Do we have a zero trust policy for remote people?
A zero trust policy?
Yeah. So a zero trust idea is,
let's say hypothetically, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of it myself, but I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night and I'm going to wing it. No, it's basically the idea that once you're in to an environment, you have to continually prove that you are who you say you are. That's the easiest way I can describe it. So,
makes sense. They don't trust you.
They don't trust you. It's zero trust. You're constantly having to validate that you are who you say you are.
Non sequitur question.
Yeah.
When you are in when you have to when you're trying to log into a website and it says, hey, can you please point out in this picture all the cars?
Yeah.
Do you start to doubt your ability to recognize a car?
Well, sometimes those pictures are they got like a little Honda Civic, which is debatable if it's a car, way in the corner.
Or the sidewalk, or there's a little bit of a sidewalk in one of,
Yeah, are there lights in this picture? And you're like, is the sun a light? I don't know. You get a little deep there.
Technically, there's light everywhere.
Yeah,
you stupid machine.
Yeah, but that's the validation of okay, you're not a robot, you're not a bot going out there and filling out username and password scripts and just trying to get access.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that whole idea of I'm going to validate that this is a person, right? So that's kind of along that same identity track. If someone figures out identity, really figures out identity on web, $1 trillion idea for sure. Everyone's trying to crack that code right now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Those are great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our last one today is, what is cyber insurance, and do you think it's important?
I mean, so it's cybersecurity and getting impacted from hacks and breaches and bad actors out there. It's part of the business landscape now, right? So you insure your building, you insure your people, you insure your corporate vehicles. You need to insure your digital assets. You need to ensure your operating systems that keep your business functioning. Yeah, absolutely. Cyber insurance is important. And what we're seeing is that cyber insurance and risk policies are changing the landscape of what companies have to have in place. We used to always see regulations kind of drove this, right? Hey, if you're going to do business with the Department of Defense, you're going to do business with the government, you have to adhere to these NIST standards, right? Certain framework of security. Hey, these are the rules of the road. You got to adhere to these. Insurance, these are the money guys, right? So government's nice, that's cool. But the money guys who are going to pay the bill when something goes wrong, they're going to start mandating that you have certain things in place, right? So every time something happens on your network, every time someone accesses an application or opens a file or emails something, there's a logged event of that transaction happening. So we'll get called in to do forensics on those logs. We'll get called in to be like, okay, what actually happened? When did it happen? People talk about like, who was patient zero? Where did this vulnerability come from? Cyber insurance folks are starting to mandate that you have those types of controls in place, because they're not going to insure you if you don't have that. I mean, we built a house in California, and I had never built a house before. I'd always, bought places, and we built a house, and there were regulations that said, hey, we're not going to insure you unless you have these sprinkler system in every single one of your house, in every single one of your rooms. You're not going to get insurance unless you have certain policies and controls in place. They're not going to just bail you out because, well, sorry, you got hacked and you lost all your company data, and, they extorted you for, 1,000 Bitcoin. They're not just going to stroke that check because you weren't paying attention or managing and protecting your business assets like you should be. So
you mentioned Bitcoin. Is that kind of is Bitcoin kind of becoming the default way they're demanding money in a lot of these cybersecurity incidents?
Well, so Bitcoin, and not to offend any of the Bitcoin folks, but Bitcoin's basically the reason that cybersecurity and these hacks and this giant, skyrocket of events has happened. You can transact completely anonymously. There's no way to track it in a real sense. I'm sure I'm sure there's some genius dudes out there who figured out a way to track Bitcoin. So I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about us normal humans. There's no one at the FBI who knows how to track a Bitcoin transaction that maybe goes to some encrypted wallet somewhere else. So it's a perfect medium for basically doing evil and not letting anyone know who you are, because it's hard to extort money and then, hey, wire to this bank account. The feds and people who are investigating can always do some financial detective work and figure out, okay, I went to the Caymans and I went to here, and then I went to here, and then I went to this dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all seen Homeland. It's a good show, and they track money back to where it comes from. But
I'll be honest, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Homeland?
I know, it's one of the ones I really feel like I should sit down and watch.
It's good. It got a little weird after season 3, but it's kind of weird altogether. But it's a good one. You should check it out.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah.
Any other recommendations?
On shows?
Oh, yeah.
Well, funny you mentioned that.
Oh, sorry, you got me thinking about Homeland now, but Bitcoin. But we'll talk about shows in a second.
Yeah, no, Bitcoin's basically made it available that anyone can, basically say, hey, I'll give you the encryption key to unlock your data that we're holding for ransom. Send this amount of Bitcoin to this wallet. And
got it. So just so I understand, and just so we're clear, you're not saying Bitcoin is at fault. You're just saying Bitcoin facilitates these things to happen because people can become anonymous, or they are anonymous when the transactions occur.
Well, it didn't exist. It didn't exist 10 years ago. You couldn't. You'd have to. What used to happen was people would, they'd spoof the CEO and say, hey, send me X amount of gift cards. Or I need this wire transfer to go to this account. Even that one, you could backwards trace who was doing what. But with Bitcoin, it's like, hey, send this digital made up currency that doesn't really exist. No offense, Bitcoin people, to this digital wallet that doesn't really exist. And then they take that digital currency and translate it into real assets. Like, because some other sucker is going to take that digital currency and think it has a store of value. No offense, Bitcoin folks, again, but not that I have an opinion on Bitcoin or that's stupid. Like that stuff is real, and people are losing a lot of money, and that's the way it's working. I mean, that's the way that gives people an avenue to do this. It also has some really cool features too, but yeah.
So I know we're coming close to 30 minutes, and I just wanted to, are there any kind of any final thoughts about cybersecurity you'd love to share that we didn't have on our list of questions?
I just think people should have, candid conversations that they can with their people about it, and get real about, the vulnerabilities that exist out there, and the idea that you're never, ever done with security. You're never done with security. I mean, I love Lieutenant Colonel Grossman and gentlemen like him who have kind of taught us that, hey, you always need to be aware of your situation. Lieutenant Colonel Grossman was a guy who wrote a book called On Killing and talks about sheepdog and response and being ever vigilant. And that's really the way, if you want to get involved in cybersecurity, you got to always be aware of the situation, and just situational awareness and having common conversations about, how you can help people, what they need to improve on. And you're never really done, which, it's not a fun message to tell people, but it's also a real message. Like, hey, you gotta keep up on this stuff. You gotta stay in the game.
Okay. And finally, very important, what TV shows, Adam, 3 TV shows that you would recommend, and I'll give you time to think about it. So I'll just kind of lead with a couple that I'm enjoying.
Okay. All right.
The Good Place. I know I'm way late to the party on this, but it's on Netflix. I'm really loving it. I suggest The Good Place. 2, Home Game. I don't know if you've seen it, but there are some crazy sports out there. And again, on Netflix.
Okay.
I'm going to break up the theme and choose something not on Netflix. But Adam, anything you're suggesting?
So there's a show on Netflix that I thought was going to be the dumbest thing in the world, but I love it. And I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old daughter, and we would get pizza and watch together.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. It's called The Floor is Lava. And The Floor is Lava is such a cool show. It's so much fun. Mm-hmm. You got to check it out. Mm-hmm. On a different track. I love. I mean, there's probably 1,000 shows on Netflix, and Kelly and I probably spend 95% of our time watching The Office reruns. So we'll be like, hey, what do you want to watch? And I'll scroll through it for about 20 minutes. And Michael Scott. Yeah. So we got we definitely into The Office and The Office reruns.
I get it. But yeah, Floor is Lava. It's just kind of like, it's
fun.
And here's the thing too. And this pretty impressive. When the person falls in the lava, they edit it in a way where the person just disappears.
Oh yeah. Well, I had to explain to my 3-year-old that no, that person really didn't die and melted.
No.
Yeah, because she's like, he disappeared. Like, because they edit it the way it looks like basically, you fell into the pit and you died. Yeah. Yeah. So no, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Wow. Who thought Floor of Lava would facilitate those sorts of conversations?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well.
This has been fun. This has been cool.
This has been fun. I would love to do this every week. I think we'll tackle different topics every week.
Yeah, we'll talk about topics. We'll throw in a couple, jabs at Bitcoin as we go, and have some fun with talking about what's going on in the market. This is good. This is good. Oh, and by the way, just a quick segue. We got to figure out what's going on with Garmin. I read a CNN article.
Down?
No, they're still down. Yeah, they're still down. No one knows what happened. There's a bunch of I read a CNN article or an article that was published on LinkedIn a minute ago saying that something's going on with their systems. I wish them well. It's really annoying.
Do they think they were attacked?
No one knows. Right now, there's a bunch of rumors flying around. But everyone who uses the Garmin stuff for tracking their runs and all that kind of stuff,
I don't run. I walk. So it's hard. I can't track my walks anymore.
You can't track them. No, you try to open the app and it just goes down. So there's a bunch of rumors going on. I'm sure we'll hear what happened. As everything cards, but hopefully as everything falls. But hopefully
I don't know. That might be really relevant to cybersecurity. Actually, who knows? Could be.
I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around about that, but no, this was a lot of fun, Paul. Thanks for putting it together, and hopefully people enjoy learning a little bit more about what Quest does in a casual conversation. So
yeah, and if you have any questions or need help, you can always reach out to us at questsits.com, and we'd love to help you out with whatever your cybersecurity issues are. And so again, this is Spilling the IT. Get it? Oh, clever. Didn't think of it myself. I can't take credit. Was that you who thought of it?
No, it was Kelly. It was Kelly.
Oh,
yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she was calling it spilling the tea. I don't know what that means, but
Oh, spilling tea means like you're revealing secrets. Like you're just sitting around drinking tea, talking secrets, Adam.
Okay. Well, then
You've never heard of that?
I'm not that hip. Nope.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
like,
know.
oh, let's go sit down and we'll just spill the tea. I would spill the coffee. That's more accurate for me.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what spill the tea means.
All right. Well, and first episode of many, I hope. And yeah, good stuff.
Cool. See you guys later. Have a good weekend.
See you, everybody. Have a good one.